Boxing Institute video, and today it's a pleasure to be joined by Joe Hughes as he catches his.
Sorry, man.
How are we feeling, Joe?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing very well, thank you, mate. And a pleasure to speak to you today, of course, and somebody who's, you've been around and not seen. I've seen you at a couple of events now, and it's great to speak to you, especially ahead of a huge fight announcement, which we'll get into in just a moment. But I want to, of course, go through your whole kind of career today, like I normally like to do on these Zoom interviews. And so I'm going to start with quite a basic question, but one which I always like to start off with, being, why did you start boxing?
Really to get just to sort my life out, get myself off the streets, keep out of trouble, and I just loved fighting. To be honest with you,
Hmm. Do you feel
that's
like
the shortest, simplest answer is why. To be honest.
no? It's a great answer, and it's one you hear from a lot of people. And I suppose, is it important to make sure that you always enjoy the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. The day you stop enjoying doing, especially a sport as hard as boxing, the day you stop enjoying it is probably a day that you should at least walk away from competing.
Mhm.
Um, it's too hard of a sport and too um takes too much of you to not love the sport. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. No, definitely. And to just kind of ask you a question about amateur experience for yourself, would you look back fondly, and what kind of are some key memories from that period?
I didn't have any amateur fights. So I was inexperienced in that sense, but I had about 18 unlicensed fights. And to be honest, like I probably enjoyed those days more than I've enjoyed my pro career,
Mhm.
just because there was no pressure then. And like, again, where I came from, no amateur experience, and sort of a bad lad, bad kid, just getting himself off the streets. It's sort of, yeah, there was never any pressure. If I had one fight and walked away from boxing, then I'd probably achieve more than most people would have expected me to ever achieve. So yeah, I did it because I loved it, enjoyed fighting, and that was that.
Do you feel like this kind of white collar scene is a necessary scene to have around the sport?
I see. I don't think it's a bad thing,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I think lads that do want to progress in boxing and take boxing seriously, I do think they probably should enter the amateur scene.
Mhm.
It's something I wish I probably did. Like I said, I had around 18 unlicensed fights, and out of all of them, there was probably two or three opponents that I met that matched what I could do.
Mhm.
And um, in the amateurs, you most definitely be getting that most weekends, if you're fighting regularly. So I do think it's essential to your learning if you're going to progress into the pro ranks. But at the same time, I don't have anything against unlicensed. I think the thing with unlicensed is for every say 10, 15 like unlicensed fighters, you probably get like one or two of myself that are good enough to make it in the pro ranks without amateur experience.
Mhm. No, I have to agree. And I suppose professional wise, why did you turn pro when you did?
So good friend of mine, Nathan Kirk. I
Mhm.
think you've interviewed him
Yeah.
before. Um, yeah, he was a current pro at the time, and he basically took me under his wing. He was training me, and just teaching me the ropes really. And um, between him and Scott Kalo, my manager and now my current trainer, Scott was more opting for me to go down the amateur route and just enter me straight into like the novice championships at the time. Um, and then Nathan was more like, oh, we'll just turn him pro and let him learn on the road. So yeah, I think we just decided to turn pro, and that was that really. So it was just out of my control. If you said to me go and have 200 amateur fights, I would have gone and done that. If you said to me turn pro, do you know what I mean? I just listened to the people around me.
Mhm. No, of course. And I suppose, you've had them two names around you for obviously a while now, and I've seen the kind of friendship you have between them. And I suppose somebody like a Scott Kalo, who has given a lot of opportunities to a lot of fighters now, how much has he helped you in your career?
Oh, mate, more than ever. Like I owe my entire career to Scott, and I just fingers crossed, and I hope, God willing, that I bring him back what he deserves, because he's put so much time and effort into me, um, and not just me, but many of boxers over the years. But like since I turned pro, he wasn't training anyone at the time other than Marcus, who was an amateur at the time. But other than that, he wasn't training anyone. And then like when I turned pro, after I think like my second or third fight, I changed trainer from him, from one person to Scott, and yeah, he came back into training myself, and yeah, so I just owe him everything, to him, to be honest, mate. Like words can't describe what that bloke means to me. Do you know what I mean? And I'll forever be grateful. So.
Mhm. No, it's amazing to hear. And I suppose, you've been through the whole kind of, I suppose, prospect era where you are getting fights which you're meant to be winning and things like that, and you were comfortably winning. And did you enjoy that period? You look back fondly upon that time?
Yeah, I mean, mate, it's a great time when you're on top of the world, you're undefeated. Everyone wants to be your pal. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, like it does come up with a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations. But yeah, I mean, when you've not lost, every single boxer wants to be in that position from the day they start their career to the day they retire. Everyone wants to be undefeated, but um, some people have different paths, and obviously it wasn't meant for me to stay undefeated my whole career, and I've got no problems with that. But yeah, I just think we're at sort of a time now where that undefeated is gone now. You don't really have to keep it anymore.
Mhm,
Whereas obviously that the Mayweather era,
mhm,
everyone wanted to be undefeated and replicate what he did.
No, it's set an interesting standard in which I'm sure a lot of fighters are trying to live up to. But I suppose from your defeats, you've never let them define you. But was there anyone in particular, am I allowed to ask, which was maybe quite tough to take?
Um, well, we can start from my first loss against Ryland Charlton. See that one again. It wasn't obviously losing. I don't like to lose, whether I'm racing my best friend on the park or what. Do you know what I mean? I don't like to lose whatsoever.
Mhm,
But that first loss, I didn't mind it too much, because I took a risk and I expected more expectations than people were giving me credit for. Like I remember in the build up, most people on the internet and stuff were saying I was going to get knocked out, blah blah blah. Like Charlton's obviously he did a few people around that time, Joe Laws being one of them, and
mhm,
I remember a lot of people saying the same. So when I outboxed him, and I still to this day believe I beat Ryland Charlton. Um, yeah, I wasn't too bothered because I didn't lose in such a bad way, but it did leave a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, because again, I thought I won.
mhm,
So that was that, and then the loss to Clayton. I mean, that was just one of them things on the night. I was drained. I was weight drained, and I just got caught. I just got caught cold in the first round. Probably it wasn't that I overlooked him, because um, I did train hard for him. Like I remember afterwards, people asking me, "Oh, did you even train for that fight?" But I did. I trained my heart and soul out. Scott would never let me go into a fight not prepared for it. But I slightly missed my weight, and I remember on the day I was probably I got in the sauna probably about 3 or 4 hours
mhm,
before that fight, just to cut an extra couple of pounds out. and I shouldn't have done it.
Mhm.
My own fault. I hold my hands up for it. No one else to blame but myself. And 3 hours after that, I was boxing. And like I say, got caught cold. That one probably broke my heart the most because I I pride myself off being quite a tough man. Like I've never like been hurt in a fight or anything like that. And even that night, people say different things about it, but to me, I clearly remember beating a count, beating the count that the ref gave me. I was up on my feet after 5 or 6 seconds, and the fight was already waved off. So yeah, it probably that upset me the most. But it's one of them. What could I do? Got caught cold. Fair play to him. And then the one against Albano Jr. I mean, great fight. Most people in that arena will tell you it was a pretty much a classic. And um, if it's on not, I think this is my opinion. If it's in Nottingham on my home turf, I win the fight. It was on his home turf. He won the fight. A point splitting us in a 10 rounder that everyone enjoyed. I've got no problems with losing a fight like that. Like, yeah, I wanted to win, obviously, but I mean, I got into boxing because I just love to fight and entertain, and people loved it. So that's all that matters.
Mhm. No, indeed, it's a really refreshing mindset from what I'm hearing from you. And, in general, do you not really mind being on the away side of things as long as, like you said, it's entertaining?
Yeah, obviously, I don't want to lose. I don't ever go into a fight wanting to lose and expecting to lose, and never do that. It's not my mindset. But I fight anyone, anytime, any place. Pay me the right money and give me the right amount of time, because I've been offered many a fights like um in the away corner on like 2 or 3 weeks notice, but I won't take them if I'm not prepared. Like, yeah, they say stay ready, blah blah blah, all of that. Like, I'm always in the gym staying ready. It's more with me. It's more a case of weight. Like, I'm quite a big lad for my weight, and I don't walk around on weight really. It's too just not sustainable for me to stay at that weight all the time. So if you give me the right notice and I can trim myself down, I'll fight anyone. It genuinely does not matter who they are. Any boxer from lightweight to super lightweight in this country or other countries, I'll fight any of them. And Scott will tell you that the fight that just got announced, I took that on one phone call, like off Scott. He phoned me, said, "Do you want the fight?" I said yes. I had one in America that recently it fell through, but same thing. Yes, since I'm not bothered. Anyone.
Mhm. No, it's again amazing mindset. Literally, just what you want to hear from a fighter, really. And I suppose, what would you say currently is your main motivation for the sport?
Uh, Getting back to where I belong, because I am a better fighter than my record suggests.
Mhm.
And obviously that night losing to Clayton, that just dropped me down in the rankings, and people's expectations of what I'm going to achieve in my career, it dropped me down so far. Like, people probably thought I was done after that, but yeah, I'm nowhere near done. I'm 27 years old. Got a long time in this sport. Look at the Lee Wood, like, for example. I remember a couple of years ago when I was first turning pro. He was on like Scott Kalo's shows at Bilborough in a leisure centre, like in a similar position to me. Not, obviously, he'd lost one or two fights, I think, at the time, but yeah, he then goes and becomes a world champion. Well, two times world champion, and yeah, he's in a great position. So look, he probably didn't achieve that until he was around 33 or something. Maybe I can't say for sure, but I think he was about 33 when he won the world title for the first time. So I've got plenty of time left.
Mhm. Indeed, you do. And I suppose, speaking about big names like Lee Wood and how he has come from that smaller hall kind of scene, a lot of fighters in which, I'm sure you know, and I've seen that you're friends with fighting these smaller hall scenes, and, yourself included as well, you have. And how important is that scene to have around?
Amazing. It's the backbone of British boxing, isn't it? Like, it's it's such a great thing for the sport. And you don't get an AJ, you don't
Mhm.
get a Lee Ward, you don't get these guys in the sport without Small Hall and and journeyman. To be honest with you, like you don't get these fighters that you see today if you haven't got that. So it's great. It's a great thing, and you gotta you gotta give massive credit to all small fighters, journeyman included.
Mhm. Indeed, you do. And obviously, you've had this big fight announcement, and you said you kind of took it on one phone call, which I respect a lot. And I suppose as a fighter, Cameron Vuong has been kind of brought up and really bigged up by Matchroom. He's had that fight with Jordan Flynn rearranged a few times now. But what do you make of him as an opponent?
I mean, I've seen a little bit of him. He's a little bit like he's slick, he's flashy. Yeah, all respect to him. He's done great stuff in the in the amateur scene. He was a good amateur, and so far he's been perfect as a pro. So I can't really fault him. I've got all the respect to him right now as an opponent, but at the end of the day, fighting him, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to change my life by flattening him and wiping him out, mate. That's simple as that.
Mhm. What skills do you feel like you have possibly that can cause him problems?
Just my engine. I think my engine, and just that warrior spirit that I've got, like that non-stop pressure. Like I don't know if you watched my last fight, but that last fight is an example of the way I can box. But I can box even better than that. Like going into that fight, I had zero confidence. Like not an ounce of confidence. You could ask anyone. Like yeah, I trained amazing. I was great shape. Sparring went well, everything. But like going into that first round, I was just like, well, the previous fight for that, I just got dropped in the first round of my fight. Like, has my chin gone? Do you know what I mean? Questioning myself, has my chin gone? Was it because I was drained in weight, or am I just telling myself that? And if I didn't go into that fight low in confidence, I think I would have beat him very easily. But yeah, so this time around, I'm going to go in much more confident, believe in myself, and yeah, I'm just going to be in front of him all night long. And I just think that he's not going to be able to take that pressure. He likes to do his little flashy threes and fours, and then go for his little walk. When he tries to go for a walk, he's going to have me in front of him, absolutely breathing down his neck. So simple as that.
Mhm. No, it's great to hear that you're so fired up for this fight. And when you speak about weight and the possible problems that you've had with that, would you rather, I suppose, have these problems now a little bit earlier on in your career so you can learn and deal with them, than have them later on in your career when you get to a high level?
Yeah, 100%. I think that they're the sort of things like, again, going back to not having the amateur experience and just boxing unlicensed. Like, and I never had to go be in that situation before where I was drained in weight, and obviously a lot of lads have had that in the amateurs and when they've had 100 odd fights. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it's good getting it out of the way early in your career. It's kind of like you have a checklist of everything in boxing that covers you. I've ticked that one off the list. I know not to fight drained in weight. Simple as that. I mean, yeah. I mean, you shouldn't do that anyway. But yeah, I've learned my lesson now, and I'll never make the same mistake twice. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Excellent. And I suppose, it's quite a basic question to ask, but where do you see yourself in a year's time?
Well, fingers crossed. If all goes to plan and the way I see it envision it in my head, I'll beat Cameron Vaughn. I will, because we've spoke with Matchroom about having a winner stays on contract. So be it Cameron Vaughn get another fight on Matchroom. They they said they wouldn't promise me a home corner fight because then they're not really in a position to. But they said they'll after if I beat him, when I beat him, in my opinion, I'll then get another fight on Matchroom, whoever that's going to be, and that they've got, I'll beat them, and then fingers crossed they'll offer me a better contract, and I'll be a full-time pro, not have to work a job, and I can solely focus on becoming the best boxer I can.
Mhm. Definitely, and there's a lot of fighters, like you say, that also have to work other jobs and the difficulties that come with that. Could you care to share some difficulties that have come from that?
It's just hard, isn't it? Working like any like working man that works their job, they're also chasing their dreams. It's not an easy thing to do. Like you for the past 3 weeks since I started my camp, I've been up 6 o'clock in the morning in the gym doing my conditioning or my strength work, and then I'm at work 8 o'clock on a building site all day long till 4 o'clock, and then I'm driving straight from the building site to Scott's, which is about, well, where I've been working at the minute. It's about a 45-minute drive,
Mhm.
getting my training done, and then back home, and all this while you're dieting, like you're on building sites and you're working with like blokes that like eating whatever they want. Like it's just not an easy thing to do. So anyone that goes through that knows it's hard. When you're a full-time pro, you can be in the gym three, four times a day if you want. You know what I mean? Yeah, you ain't got to be up early. You've got all the right nutrition around you. It's much easier.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really respect all that every fighter like that have to go through when they have to work an extra job and things like that. I can only imagine how difficult it is. And, Joe, I really appreciate your time here today. I'm going to leave with this final question. It's one which I pretty much like to ask everybody, which is basically just to open up the floor. Is there anything you want to shout out or promote or anything like that?
Just thank you to all of my team, all of my sponsors, obviously Scott for getting me this opportunity, and then all my coaches. I've got obviously Scott's my head trainer, and then Nathan Kirk, Kev Jansen, and then Callum Henley, he's my strength and conditioning coach. So credit to all of those guys there. They're the ones that set the plan out, and I just follow it. It's simple as that. Like they tell me what to do, and I do it, no questions asked. And then just shout out to all of my sponsors. There's probably too many to list, but the ones that I think off the top of my head, you've got Michael. I'll just reel their names off: Michael, Kev, Louise, Tom, Josh, Scott. Like all of these guys. If I've missed any of you, I'm sorry, but yeah, like just thank you to all of them guys for putting me in a position over the next couple of weeks where I don't have to work and I can solely focus on beating Cameron Vuong.
Mhm. Brilliant
And
stuff.
thank you for your time. I appreciate getting in touch and letting me voice my opinions, and
No, of course,
grateful.
I'm very grateful, mate, and I wish you the best of luck with this fight. Hopefully, I'll be around to fight week, if not fight night as well, and I can't wait to see the fight. I'm sure it's going to be very entertaining, and like I say, wish you best of luck, and thank you again. And so, if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like video if you did indeed like the video, and thanks for watching.
Thank you, mate.